Hello and welcome to the channel again. It's me, Dan, Watch Me with Watches, and I'm hoping I can entertain you today discussing difference between Seiko and Phoibos. Now, I could do a Phoibos video and it'd be the most beautifully produced, wonderful video I've ever made, and people generally won't watch it. That makes me then think, what is it about Phoibos that people are not interested in? I often read the comments and I get some feedback, and I'm thinking, you know what, in general, as a YouTuber, I've discovered people are a bit put off by micro brands. People are a bit put off by funny logos. People are put off by funny names. People are put off that it's not a familiar brand and they don't like unfamiliarity. I'm here to hopefully just have a chat with you guys about those differences and what they mean. It's easy to be very objective as a reviewer, but there's also a very big reason why people don't make purchases, because subjective reasons. You could have the best watch in the world and it is half the price of a Seiko or a Citizen or some other brand. People just still won't buy it because they don't care about the brand. And branding has a lot of power. I know many of you viewers, when you watch me, you know from watching my videos about AliExpress watches that they are all about perceived value. Who cares about the brand? It's just ticking the boxes with specification. Yet, a Phoibos has a fantastic specification, often a very good price, often better than Seiko's, yet people still don't give a monkeys. Why is that the case? Let's have a chat about that. I'll see you in a moment. So before I flip the camera and we actually have a closer look at these watches, and I'm going to do a lovely little comparison for all the objective things. This is a very objective review, I'm trying to be, but before I get into that, I'm going to have a chat with you about the subjective element, which I know sways people from going down the road of, thank you for the review, Dan, I don't care about Phoibos, I'm still going to buy a Seiko, and that is good, because I am also one of those people. I am a sucker for brands, but not just for the fact I like to be a show-off. I don't go, you know what, I've got a Seiko, look at me, and someone says, what about that Phoibos? I didn't wear it because people thought I was a moron for having an octopus on my watch. No, I genuinely do not care. If someone asks me about my watch, I'll tell them about it till I see them glaze over, possibly die a bit inside. So what I do is I move on, and I just think, you guys are the people that really have the buying power and the thinking power and part of the community, and thinking about, why do I care or not care about a specific brand? Now, Seiko, history counts for a lot. As long as a product is not absolutely terrible from any given large brand, it will sell well. People buy it, there's trust. And there's good backup. If you buy it from a shop in the high street or an online retailer you trust, you know of, if there's a problem, it's really easy to just send it back. For most people, that is a huge plus. Customer service is key, and also trust is just what you want. We're spending a lot of money on a product you don't actually need to buy. And Seiko are responsible for so many historic watches over the time. They've innovated, they're pioneers for many things. They are such a core element to the whole watch world community and watch history, timekeeping. They are so important to the world of horology, and that adds a huge amount of weight to a brand. People know that it's just part of pop culture, it's part of people's psyche. But you tell someone what a Phoibos is, they go, I have no idea what that is. It sounds a little bit like you are unwell, or you've got a growth, I don't know. Or if you're very into your Greek mythology, you go, oh yes, Phoibos, I know what that is. It's a giant kraken, I don't know. But the point is, that is what subjectively you're buying into. Hello, I've got a lovely Seiko, good for you. Oh, I've seen one of those before, nice. Hello, I've got a Phoibos. Oh, that's a bit wacky. What is it? It's quite simple to see the power of branding, what people just know about. We can never underestimate the power of branding. People go, oh yes, but their quality's declined. I'm like, but they still sell 11 billion watches and people just don't even notice half of the things we pick up on. So Seiko don't care. They're making so much money they could probably build houses out of it. Seiko have been doing this a very long time. They know what they're doing. They don't really care about 100,000 people out of the 11 bazillion say, oh, this new release doesn't have a screw-down crown. Disgraceful. Why don't they put sapphire in it as well? Disgusting. You know what happens? Most people don't give a monkeys. They hear fancy words like hard Lex or Lumi Bright, and they just go, oh, these sound like fun, funky, cool things that they've invented. And they just go, they buy into it. It's simple. So when you're Googling and YouTubing, go, what's the best dive watch for £200? And you see a load of videos come up, Citizen, Seiko, XYZ, blah, 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 and then it comes down to Phoibos. This is great, it's better than all the others. And you just go, yeah, but it's got an octopus and it's got a funny name. I prefer a Seiko. That's a bit more safe in my mind. So this is what I'm trying to get at. That is why people don't give a monkeys about micro brands, because unless you're a watch nerd, you just don't know or care. It's just not part of your thought pattern. So the people that do buy a Phoibos are the ones like also myself that know, well, you know what, I have a number of watches in my collection. I also would like something which is a little bit wacky, a bit different, but I appreciate build quality, excellent specification. I like to get as much as I can for my money. Here comes Phoibos. Objectively, they are great. But are they? This is the next bit of the video where I'm going to show you the watches and we're going to actually get down to the nitty gritty of objectively, is a Phoibos still actually better than a Seiko? Let's have a look. Let the battle commence and we will begin with the price. Then we'll move on to the actual objective things. The price, recommended retail on one of these is just under 300, the Seiko SRPD on the left on a bracelet. Phoibos, including taxes from Phoibos Europe to the UK, worked it out to be just over £300. So we're talking very similar prices. Now let's get stuck in with the competition. Out of approximately 10 out of 10, who's going to win objectively? First category is crystal. Seiko comes to standard with Hardlex, proprietary name for mineral crystal, which effectively is very easy to scratch. They should call it Softlex. It's a running joke I always use because it scratches immediately and so easily. Whereas the winner on the right, Phoibos, has sapphire crystal with AR coating, which means anti-reflective on the underside of the crystal, which means the AR coating won't get scratched or marked itself. Very glare and reflection resistant, which is what you want when you have your sapphire crystal. Next up, the movement. Very similar. I would say the Seiko wins slightly because it has a day complication rather than just the date you get on the Phoibos, which is the NH35. 4R36 for the Seiko on the left. Both of these are running extremely well, pretty much a dead heat, but I'm going to give a slight win to the Seiko because it has the day complication, which I like. I often forget which day of the week it is. Next up, the water resistance of the specification. The Phoibos wins again here because Phoibos has 200 meters water resistance, as it states on the dial. Not tested. I have no idea if it can actually do that. Probably can. Seiko, 100 meters, still okay, but we're talking objectively, Phoibos wins. Just because 200 is bigger than 100, isn't it? Next up, we'll talk about the bracelets. First of all, I'll put this Phoibos down and show you the standard bracelet with the Seiko. Phoibos wins, but I'll show you why in a moment. This is the Seiko one. Objectively, it's decent quality, machined okay, nice enough finish, but in terms of specification, it has hollow end links, which are the bits that go into the watch. Hollow, totally fine, but means you don't always get good fitment. Clasp, again, comfortable, decent enough quality, but press clasp. Quality is okay, it's not terrible, but I've seen a lot better and I've seen significantly worse. So overall, it's not bad. Push pins as well for the taking the links out and 4 micro adjusts. Phoibos on the other hand, even better finishing, solid feel to it, lovely quality of the machining on every link, brush sides as well. To size it up, you have little screws here which are all beautifully machined and they come in and out very easily with a little screwdriver. Milled clasp, and that basically means these components are more robust and feel more of a higher quality and have had more work go into them. It's only a few pounds more to put a milled clasp on a watch, so I'm surprised they don't all do it. But neither of them have micro adjust other than the 4 holes. There's no quick set or quick micro adjust. That's just a separate side note as a letdown on these kind of watches. Better quality, solid end links, fit really well in the watch, very nice indeed. And as you can see there, it just adds a little bit of extra class and quality to a watch by having that extra bit of work and robustness and quality. And none of that jingle jangle you can get with Seiko bracelets. So it's a win for the Phoibos. Next up, very similar, I'm going to talk about the lume. I'll turn the lights out and you get to see the how basically they're both amazing. BGW9 on the Phoibos on the right, blue colour, really clean, crisp look to it. But so is the Lumi Bright you get in the Seiko. They're both extremely good. I'd say it's almost a draw, but ever so slightly edging it would be the Phoibos because objectively, application of the lume is ever so slightly better. Only ever so slightly. I'm not talking microscopic amounts, but the fact it has the lume in the bezel and having extra lume means it wins. Extra lume equals a win in my books, in the specification. So we've covered the lume now. We're going to move on to the simple fact that the Seiko loses to the crown side of things. Doesn't have a signed crown. It's push-pull. The Phoibos has a signed crown and it is screw down. So it has better water resistance. Therefore, it is better. Next up, the bezel. Standard bezel on the Seiko. This loses again because the standard insert is aluminium with no lume in it at all. Therefore, it scratches easily and does not function when the light drops down as a timing device because there's no reference point on it like you get on this one. But the bezel action is very nice. I'd say it's down to taste. So I can't say the Seiko loses objectively because of bezel action because some people prefer the feel of a Seiko bezel. But I would say this obviously specification wise wins because it's a ceramic insert and has loomed bezel insert, but the feel of the bezel is lovely in terms of how it feels when you're rotating it, but the grip is not great because of these smooth bits that you get here. But overall it's a slight win for the Phoibos for all the reasons I've just said. Case finishing edged again with the Phoibos because I've never had one with any imperfections in it. I know I'm sent review samples, but I've never heard anyone say bad things about the case finishing. They're notoriously good for their brushing and the overall quality. It just feels like a extremely well made and robust watch. I've never had fluff or dust or grit or bits underneath the crystal and see anything on the dial on any Phoibos. Whereas almost on every single Seiko I've ever seen, there's always been something. And this one was no exception. I had to get bits off the dial and from under the crystal when I changed it out when I did the mods on this watch. And that's just disappointing. And this came from new, somehow with an imperfection in the case. So it's for those simple reasons I've just stated, Phoibos wins again. Case backs. Seiko on the left came with a glass case back so you could see the movement. But I'd say it loses because of the fact that there is more work and interest in having this detailed engraving on the back of the Phoibos. I know that's slightly opinionated, but I would say more work has gone into the Phoibos for your money. And if you like the look of the octopus, I love them. I don't know why people have a problem with octopuses, and especially on watches, considering waterbound watch, why not have a waterborne creature? People get funny about the octopus. I don't know why, but I can see why people get funny about an 8-legged creature on their watch. Purely back down to objectives, the machining and the quality of the Phoibos is better. Last, the weird little trivial one. Seiko wins because there's drilled lugs. Much easier for strap changes. So out of 10, as you've kind of got an idea, I think 8 out of the 10 categories which I ran through, Phoibos wins objectively. And that's the sapphire crystal, loses on the movement, better water resistance, better bracelet with all the specifications of the bracelet, better loom because just there's more of it because it's in the bezel insert as well. The crown is better because it's screwed down with the Phoibos. The bezel action and the feel is better on the Phoibos, and the fact it's loomed again and it has a ceramic insert, so scratch resistance, so it looks nicer for longer. Then you've got the case finishing, which is better and has no imperfections in it, whereas the Seiko did. Then there's the case backs, you get more of an interest with the Phoibos, something with a bit of character and a bit of fun to it, whereas the Seiko just had a bit of see-through glass to look at a very bland looking movement. Last but not least, the Seiko wins 2 out of the 10 by having drilled lugs, which is a practical element. I know this sounds like I've given the Seiko a good drubbing, but I still prefer the Seiko, because you know what has to come into this? We're getting back to subjectives again, and even take the brand out of it. You know why I love the Seiko? I think it just looks a bit nicer. I like the fact I can tinker with it. I love the brand. I'm a sucker for that. And it's iconic. And the fact that I could just change this out, do some mods to it, and still sell it for probably what I bought it for at some point in the future is, for me, also an appeal. The whole point of this comparison, objectively, Phoibos is awesome. It's a fantastic watch. But I know why people don't buy them. Because they trust and love a Seiko, as do I. And if you want to see more videos about Phoibos or Seiko or mods or anything else, why don't you click on one of my many other videos and come and see me some more. It'll be an absolute joy to share more with you. I want to share more watches with you. Join the channel, subscribe. I want to get this channel to 11 bazillion subscribers. Come and join the gang. It'll be a pleasure to share more content with you. And guess what? It's free. You just got to click a button. It's down there.